you want me to hit you? I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I startled him. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order of the Tourist Development Council. Today is November 8th, 2023 at 9 a.m. And Miss Jackie, I believe, would like to give the invocation.
Yes, ma'am.
And then we'll do the pledge, if you'd like to stand with us.
If y'all join me, please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we come to you again. Thank you and praise you for the fact that we live in the greatest county, in the greatest state, in the greatest country. We thank you for letting us do the best for everybody. We know we're never going to please everybody. We ask that you bless our first responders, whether here or abroad, and just thank you again for everything you've given us. We ask these things and thank you in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please.
All right, good morning, everybody. Present today is Mike Engels, Chair Holly Davis, Jackie Hepfer, Ken Frink, Luann Jacobs-Wilcott, Michael Menke, Mike Shoemaker, and Max Schulman.
Excellent. So we have a quorum. And board, I'm looking for approval of agenda.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any board discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, looking for a motion of approval of minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any board discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Open to the public. Anyone? Anyone? Okay. Moving right along. Great Days Outdoors presentations.
They're on Teams.
Okay. Hi, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Appreciate you guys having me. I'm going to try to share my screen here. Let's make sure that you guys can see what I'm seeing. Okay. Can you guys see this okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right, great. So in speaking with the folks over Visit Citrus, we are proposing some editorial coverage of some of the great outdoor opportunities that are there. And it's important to understand a little bit about our editorial coverage and how we do what we do, and what we're looking at in terms of opportunities for folks to visit. One of the periods of time that we're considering is that January through April period. And whenever we produce a piece of editorial, it's a big focus of ours to get our partners included in that editorial, because when people pick up our magazine, go to our website, read our blogs, listen to our podcast, that's why they're there. They're not there to see advertising. Doesn't mean advertising doesn't work. It just means that when you can be included in editorial, you're going to get 10 times as much attention as being included in an advertisement right next to it. So whenever we create a piece of editorial, the very first thing we look at is search engine analysis. Is what are people looking for online that identifies them as the right market of people for a particular product, for a particular destination. And it really works across the board. What you're looking at here is just a flow chart of how editorial is created. Working with a company called Fish Bites. They're over out of near St. Augustine. But really we've done work with several different TDCs and destination marketing organizations. And the same approach works for destinations. So when you look at search engine analysis, Fish Bites, what they make is an artificial bait. It's real popular with surf fishing. And with them, you can see that in the United States, about 6,000 people a year are looking for information on bait for surf fishing. Another 5,000 people a year are looking for information on surf fishing bait, and it goes on and on and on. So when we see that, we know there's a high volume of people that are interested in this topic. The next question from an editorial perspective becomes, when to publish it. And what you see in the trends are that people are searching for this information in the late spring and into the summer. So we don't want to publish that in a magazine in the middle of the wintertime when people aren't really interested in that topic. So the holy grail for us in terms of editorial coverage is to get an authentic testimonial from someone who's used a product or been to a destination or can share technical expertise on that particular pursuit. And what we like to do is interview that person on a podcast, get that out to folks who are searching for audio content, and then publish that podcast and promote it to all of our email and social media followers. That content markets the audience. If we do an article, and in this case, we're talking about several different things, but take Osceola turkeys, for example. Osceola turkeys are part of the turkey Grand Slam. You guys have those in Citrus County and surrounding areas. And it's a really popular turkey for people to come from out of state. You know, Florida's the only place that Osceolas exist. And if somebody hears or sees a podcast come through their email inbox or on social media, the only people that are going to read or listen to that content are people that are interested in that topic. So the content markets the audience. And then we can interview people who are local to your area and bring them into the conversation, and also get into what other attractions are there while they're there turkey hunting and doing the things that we're promoting in this article. We'll take those podcasts and publish them, promote them to email and social media followers, and then those interviews become the substance for articles that we produce both offline and online. On the offline side of things, our print magazine, we're in our 27th year of publishing, and that magazine is distributed widely throughout Alabama and the surrounding states of Alabama, and a robust digital distribution as well. On the online side of things, we take our articles and search engine optimize them and then promote them as well. Our email subscribers, about 80,000 people or so, again, let that article market the audience of people. And same thing with social media. We're around 60,000 people follow us on social media. We're going to publish that, and also we're going to sponsor it on social media. So that's where demographics and geographies come into play. You know, if we know that, say, people want to be within an 8 hours drive of a destination, then we're not going to, publish this content and promote it widely throughout the United States if we don't think that that's something that people would drive to go do. But ultimately, we base these demographics and geographic promotion on the goals of Citrus County and who they're trying to reach. And so what that results in is that everybody that we reach, whether it's email, social media, print magazine, podcasts, everyone we reach is getting an authentic testimonial about how awesome, visiting can be and all the things that they can do there. And that works well to reach our audience and drive people's interest into visiting Citrus County. But what we also want to produce, and we're very consistent at producing, is first page Google rankings. And that's important because once the promotion is done, once we've stopped emailing that article around or sending that podcast around, now when people are online searching for information on, say, Osceola turkey hunting or Osceola turkeys in general, they can find this article and then learn about the opportunities to do this type of activity in Citrus County. And so what that does is it creates perpetual traffic from the right market of people long after we're done campaigning this topic. And so looking into the proposal a little bit more, thinking about that January through April timeframe, Osceola turkeys is a focus. That's something that, again, you can only do it in South Florida, that area of Florida. Very popular with turkey hunters and wanting to complete the Grand Slam. Snook season is another area we'd like to focus on, and kind of looking into what you see here when you're looking at this proposal is this is the volume of people that are interested in Osceola turkeys per month in the United States, 4,400 people. But in reality, it's predominantly happening in late winter, early spring is when that interest is occurring. And so that's when we would want to publish that and promote that piece of content. Same thing with snook season. what you see there is that, it's pretty even throughout the year, but a good volume of people are interested in snook fishing. We can focus on snook as a fishing destination piece and the opportunities that are there in Citrus County.
Also, like those really good CPCs there, that means that people are, sorry I'm late, I had really bad internet trouble this morning. That CPC on those keywords, that means people are finding value in running those Google, being in those Google keyword positions and are good conversions.
Right. And same thing with fishing resorts here. You can see people are searching for fishing resorts in Florida. These are valuable searches that people are making. We know what they want. They want fishing resorts in Florida. They're interested in learning more, and that allows us to shine a spotlight on what's going on in Citrus County with regards to that, with regards to the hunting and fishing opportunities. And then what we did here is there's a couple of options here in terms of budget, but we've got one option doing all 3 articles and 3 sponsored emails, and that's going to be where you're taking over our email list for that email, saying whatever Visit Citrus County wants to say in that email and getting that information out to people to really promote and just reach a wide audience of people there. So we have a couple of options there, 3 articles on one option, 2 articles on the other option. We're happy to do either. Our goal is really to provide value here. We're trying to drive traffic to your location. We've worked with, like I said, a number of different TDCs and destination marketing organizations and even resorts out of the country. And we've had great results using what we call our editorial partnership to do that. And then there's some general stats here too, if you have any questions about where we sit in terms of traffic, website traffic, email list size, social media following, podcast listenership, that kind of thing. So any questions about this that I can answer or go into detail a little bit further? And just really appreciate y'all's time today.
Board?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I love the concept, but you would have to really make the turkey hunters aware that you can't just come here and hunt. We've got 3 reserve areas, and the state does, they used to call it a lottery. I don't know if we're allowed to use that word anymore. So actually, 25 hunters are drawn for each one, so only 75 people, if they're lucky enough to get drawn, would be able to hunt. So I'm afraid if they saw that, they're gonna think they can just go like out and start hunting, and if they don't have the proper paperwork, they're gonna get arrested, so.
Right. Yeah, we were actually.
That's not gonna send a good message to the public.
No. We were actually looking. I was pulling together the outline for this article yesterday, and that's one of the areas of focus. And one of the other searches that people make is Osceola turkey hunts. Mm-hmm. And what they're looking for there are guided hunts, outfitters and such. So where we were going to take that angle is both the public land, do-it-yourself type opportunities, and also the outfitted opportunities that are within reach of Citrus County. And really be able to shine a light on some of that. And I think that would be who we would want to interview too for this article would be local outfitters, local lodges, and folks that are providing that service in the area.
Okay.
I'm kind of new to this board, so have we dealt with these folks in the past?
No.
We have not, so I think it'd be prudent if we looked at maybe some of their work. I don't know if we've done that yet.
Yeah, we'd be happy to send you, you're welcome to check out our website and see that kind of thing, but we'd be happy to send you some examples of work we've done with other tourist development councils, resorts, things of that nature, if that helps.
Absolutely.
Sure. And a reference of the other DMOs and resorts would be great. Who they are.
Sure. Yeah, like Orange Beach and Gulf Shores is one. And Visit Gadsden in Alabama is another. Alabama Mountain Lakes is another. And we've done, like I said, Crocodile Bay Resort in Costa Rica. But that's just off the top of my head. We've got some others too, but I can definitely get you references and examples from those.
Yeah, and Mike Engel speaking. And the other thing, if you could include, would be an estimate of the ROI to those areas, because that's something that, you know, our commissioners have been looking at pretty significantly.
Sure. Whenever we put together campaign reports, we put the exact value on it. We're able to extrapolate out, you know, basically cost per click on those keywords like the CPC that I was mentioning, and puts a direct value right on it. So we have lots of examples of that.
But-
Yeah, like what Butch is saying there is, you know, for example, just looking at Osceola turkeys, if you were to go to that page or go to, you know, Florida Silk Season, you know, it's $1.68 a click on average if you were to be running Google Ads on that page. And so it's pretty easy to extrapolate out the value that this type of editorial creates, at least from just a comparative analysis. And what we have found in doing this with over 60 editorial partners at this point, is that if you compare this to, say, running Google Ads, it beats it every single time, because we're not only reaching our audience, but then we're bringing in traffic from search engines that way too. So be happy to share that with you.
Jackie?
Okay, well, Jackie Hepfer, City of Inverness. I just thought maybe in lieu of the turkey, which gets into a lot of gray area, since you're doing the snook, our side, the east side, as they call it, is known for bass and the freshwater fishing. You could do saltwater and freshwater together, so that when people get to Citrus County, they can do both. A lot of them aren't aware, with some of the advertising they've seen, they're not aware that there is both here. So that would maybe be something you'd want to look at.
Sure. Yeah, we're happy to modify this. This is just the initial ideas we discussed in talks with the folks there. But yeah, we do, you know, ultimately for us, what we have found is that the pursuit is what sells it. You know, if somebody is really into snook fishing or bass fishing or turkey hunting or whatever it is, you know, then they know they want to go. They've also got to figure out how to sell it to their spouse, you know, and focus on well, if you come with me, what are you going to do while we're there? And, or is this going to be a guy's trip where we do that kind of thing? But that's what we try to do with all of our destination marketing pieces, is focus first on what is the big draw that pulls them there. And then while you're there, hey, there's all these other great opportunities that you can get involved with if you're not out on the water or out in the woods one day.
So, to Jackie's point, with the only 75 permits out for turkeys, I'm struggling to do the math in my head in terms of how that pays off for ROI, like real ROI, like how much are people going to come from out of county, spend money here to stay in our hotels and so forth, for that particular subject. I have worked in marketing communications my whole career, so I see your numbers. I think it's a perfectly fair plan. I'm just not sure that editorial bent is, but I would like to hear what the board says.
Are these are the 75 permits? Is that to get on state lands, or is that specific to the whole?
The game reserves.
On the game reserves. So I think what he had mentioned is that they've got guided tours. So they take them on private property, which I don't
Okay.
think you need a permit for.
Okay.
I believe it's more of a question.
I'm more of a water girl,
Yeah.
not a hunter, so I'm a little out of my depth on that
I'm
one.
into deer.
So there's in Florida, there's special opportunity permits, and I think that's when we're talking about the 75 permits, that's what we're talking about. Certain lands are set aside for these special opportunity permits, and then there are public lands that are just open to hunting with a 2-bird limit per season, and then there are private lands that outfitters are using, and those are really, it's a 2-bird limit. So there's not a fixed limit on how many birds somebody can, or a piece of land can be taken off of a piece of land. But Osceola was a direction that, you know, we were given and as a potential opportunity, and we know a lot about it because we're big turkey hunters, and you can see the turkey fans behind me here. But it's just a big draw for folks out of the state. They want to come and get their Osceola as part of their Grand Slam, but we are not by any means producing that. There's so many different things we could focus on from an editorial perspective. We'd be happy to redirect this to, bass fishing, freshwater opportunities, more saltwater opportunities. What we were looking at and told was that kind of wanted to focus on some of the seasons that were not related to scalloping and manatees. And so that's where we were focusing our time and energy, and what can somebody be doing January through April in the area. But yeah, I mean, if y'all want to give us direction, go ahead. Sorry.
I am actually really excited about doing something about hunting in Citrus County, because we are trying to expand outside scalloping and manatees, and fishing has been the third leg to that stool. But we have so many other things. We have, great biking trails, we have hunting, we have all that stuff.
Sure.
So I'm definitely in favor of promoting hunting if we can draw the line. Frank, have you done any deep dive into what the ROI would be on this?
No, and I would say, the direction would be get more information on the number of birds. I think the 2-bag limit was where, I was looking on that. Again, I'd love to see our private sector grow the way we've seen, folks grow up here as fishermen and then become professional guides. I'd love to see the hunting sector do the same thing. I would say that if you get people in the woods after turkey, they are looking at deer trails and things too. So I think the two go hand in hand.
I think personally, if the turkey issue is 75 is just limited to state lands. I know with my time with Swift Mud, I mean, like we had certain properties we would set aside that, we would only allow 200 hunters in for the year. And then other properties were just wide open. So it is more specific to the property itself, not the state rule. So sounds like if it's on a piece of private property, the 2-bag limit's gonna apply to everybody that shows up there.
Do we know how many private lands are there, that people are,
Probably
pardon?
a lot.
Are there? Okay.
Yeah.
Again, I don't hunt, so I'm,
Yeah.
I'm not against it. I think it's a good idea, but knowing how it's been limited, my husband's been here most of his life and he's never gotten the permit to hunt a turkey ever. So, I just don't want people to be disappointed, so when they get here, they can't find what they are looking for. If that's, I'm not being Nancy negative, I'm just looking at just could happen.
These turkey hunters, they come in with a lot of money.
Well, then bring them. I stand corrected.
And
I
like
think
Joe was saying, the slang is a big deal. So I think it's the destination. I mean, you can't do that anywhere else.
Yeah, there's several subspecies of turkeys, Osceolas being one of them, and y'all are the only place in the world that exist, and so you got to come to Florida to get your Osceola, and it's more popular than you would know, and turkey hunters are crazy. I am one, so I can.
I'm glad you own that.
Yeah, I mean, money's not a thing, so it sounds silly to go run around the woods chasing turkeys, but it's
Chasing a big bird.
But I also think, like you were saying, there's hog hunting, there's deer hunting, there's other opportunities too. But with Osceolas, that is one of the main value that we can provide with editorial, is letting people understand, hey, there are public land opportunities. There's a limited draw of opportunities to special opportunity areas. Then there are wide open public areas, and then there are the private areas. And if you want to hunt this year, you want to make sure you hunt this year, you need to go to a private outfitter, most likely, if you want a guaranteed hunt, because you're not necessarily going to get drawn for the public land opportunities.
And I don't know if you guys, have relationships with any of the outfitters or things like that. There could be an opportunity for you to scratch their back as well. Introduce them in the editorial and say, these people they know what they're doing. They have a good outfit, et cetera.
We've done a
good B2B
done a
message.
good work with Alabama Black Belt Adventures, which is another TDC, and that's one of the things that they are promoting in their areas: quail hunting destinations, deer hunting destinations, all those types of resorts. And so that's what we do with them, is we go interview those outfitters and those guides, and that really bolsters the relationship between them and their outfitters.
Frank, you had something to say?
I was going to propose that we bring the board back some better data on what kind of, hunting limits we have, special areas versus open, and then also maybe some ideas on private lands. I think that's going to be a developing sector for us, the private lands, but it's certainly an opportunity for some economic development if we can get folks,
We just need to
use those.
identify some outfitters and make sure that some
Exactly.
guides, that
Yeah.
we have
Yeah.
some place to send people. Because
Sounds-
I absolutely love the idea, guys. I really do. I just want to make sure that it's targeted correctly for success in the
Cool.
inside of the
Totally.
county.
Yeah, we want this to be a win for you guys as well. I mean, we can highlight whatever you guys want to highlight.
Okay, Michael?
Just a quick question for background. How did we find you? How did you find us? And I'm not seeing a huge presence in the Florida market. Is that something you're developing?
So the way that we were introduced was at ICAST.
Okay.
So we met you guys there.
Just curious, where are you seeing the lack of Florida presence?
I mean, I'm relatively active in the outdoor world, and this is sort of the first time I've really ever heard of you guys.
Okay.
Yes, sir. That's cool. Sure.
But yeah, so we met at ICAST, and I've been visiting Crystal River, Homosassa area. My family is all from Tampa, and I grew up in Mobile, Alabama. So we've been coming through the area for fishing and scalloping, and all those kind of opportunities. I remember staying at the plantation when I was a kid, that kind of thing. So I'm very familiar with the area, and that was how we just kind of struck up a conversation at ICAST. And as far as the Florida market, our print magazine is not as represented in the Florida market. It's mostly focused around Alabama and the surrounding states. But our online presence, our email presence, we have a good foothold in Florida. To Butch's point, if you look at where our traffic comes from our website, Florida's a big part of that. We have the Northwest Florida Fishing Report is one of our podcasts where we cover the weekly fishing report from Pensacola to Panama City. And so a lot of those folks, that are in these areas, they're in our audiences, whether it's print, online, they're within driving distance of Citrus County.
Which, don't get me wrong,
and-
that may not be a bad thing. I mean, getting fresh blood from other areas. I'm not saying this, I'm just curious, just
Sure.
curious.
Yeah.
No, I'm
No
not
harm,
being-
no harm, no foul. I wasn't
a
trying to
lot
be.
of our, yeah.
Just curious.
So yeah, I think a lot of our presence is online. That is within Florida. But again, going back to the strategy of our marketing communications is that what we want to find is the people who are interested in the things that you have.
Exactly.
And if Osceola turkeys is one of them, or snook is one of them, we know if somebody's online searching for information on Osceola turkeys, like that's the lowest hanging fruit. Those are the people that already know they want what you have. So we want to definitely reach those people, but then we also want to reach just the turkey hunters in our group who maybe haven't gotten fired up yet about Osceolas, and we're going to get them fired up about it and the opportunity. And the same goes with snook season, and really too, like, going into this other piece of editorial is fishing resorts in Florida. You can see that, people are looking for fishing resorts in Florida. We cover a piece of editorial like that and bring to light not only the fishing resorts that are in Citrus County, but fishing resorts that are around. That brings you into the conversation, and that low hanging fruit, those people that already know they want the product, those are the ones we want to get in front of first.
And it doesn't matter if that person's in New York or
Exactly.
Right.
Spain, and they want that Grand Slam Osceola. They're going to Google it.
The big sheet that you showed us with the feature article, print subscriber, digital subscriber, et cetera, I am not seeing anywhere in the paperwork what your subscriber base is.
So on print, our readership's around 10,000 print.
Not
And then
readership,
di-
not readership. What's your subscription base? The actual magazines.
So in terms of actual circulation, printed magazines, we print about 3,000 magazines a month. And then we also have a digital version that goes out to 80,000.
So the 80,000, are they paid subscribers or is this free?
Some of them are paid and some of it is free.
Okay.
A little bit of both.
So you print 3,000 copies a month, and are people, so what is the breakdown of those going to paid subscription households versus doctor's offices and newsstand?
We have about an 80% paid either through subscriptions or newsstands. So we do a combination of subscribers, newsstands. We do have a little bit of direct mail that goes out to, like you're talking about, doctor's offices, high flow waiting rooms, and that kind of thing. But the vast majority of our printed magazines are paid for.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Board?
Get the information.
Okay.
I do. I take back my doubt on the turkeys. And my husband's bitterness, because he's never been picked. Y'all did the research, so. Yeah. Well, they ain't for eating.
Come down my neighborhood on a certain day and shoot them off the cars.
So we're not going to bring this forward for a vote at this time. We're going to wait for more information.
Sounds like a,
Okay.
yeah, I think that makes
Staff,
gonna leave
staff
it
will
like
get
it
with you
is.
guys. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Appreciate
your
your
time.
time.
Thank you.
Sounds great. Have a good rest of your week. Thank you.
Print has tanked over the decades, obviously, but you notice how he tried to slip in readership, which is a lot of the things he was saying are, because a lot of my early career was spent placing print media. And there's a lot of tricks they'll use to try to inflate numbers, and he was doing those. So readership is, they do pass along readership that, you know, they assume that 3 or 4 people read a magazine. Okay, so readership versus actual circulation. I didn't even ask if it's US Postal Service audited because I knew it wasn't, based on what he was saying. So, you know, do a deep dive into what the real numbers are, what the real eyeballs are. The price is good, but we need to know how many people we're actually getting.
Right.
So,
And even on the ROI, he was referencing comparative cost. He didn't get into anything on what the actual return was. So he just said, well, it's worth it because it's cheaper than doing Google pay-per-click, not what the revenue coming in the backside was.
yeah.
To that point, how do we measure, what's our benchmark for our ROI as it relates to the TDC? Is it simply eyeballs? Is it distribution? Is it referrals? Because there's almost impossible ways to measure dollar ROI.
I know, my board wants to see that they want that direct line. If we spent $5 here, we made $10 here. And
But there may be an education process that needs to happen as it relates to marketing. You're the champion of that, because it's
I
not always
try.
about dollars in, dollars out when you're talking about a destination sell.
Yeah.
It's how many brochures we distribute, how many people came to the website, how many referrals do we have?
I've been teaching them about the sales funnel and everything else, and sometimes it goes well and sometimes it doesn't. So, anyway.
Again, I just want to make sure it's a fair evaluation of a media buy across a media buy for what we measure as the benchmark of our success of our ROI, and I don't think dollars, as much as I'd love it to be, frankly, I don't think dollars is a fair way to evaluate for a
Well,
destination.
Yeah. And, you know, our number one criteria is, of course, heads and beds, obviously, but there's all the other economic impact that comes along with that.
Right.
Even the day trippers have a big economic impact here, and so all of that is really good. But you know, I'm not throwing cold water on this. We just
No.
need to know what the real numbers are and the likely outcome.
The-
being cautious over money we're being asked. They want money from us. I didn't hear we're doing this out of the goodwill, so
Yep.
there's no harm in being cautious.
But there's something to be said, new blood and especially a young struggling business. Just the niche markets of South Georgia and Alabama, those folks are gonna be heads in beds. And they're the sort of tourists that fit in with no controversy. And they're actually things, honey camps was, 100 years ago, was probably 50% of the economy of the county. So, the potential is definitely there.
Absolutely.
If you I spent a couple of years working in the analytics field, and Google has introduced so many ways of slicing and dicing their data that it's hard to argue, but you can build a case on anything as a good metric.
Right.
And the truth is, it takes a group sitting down and saying, what's really important to us?
Exactly.
And sometimes you come back and say, well, the only thing you can be sure of is heads and beds. We can figure other considerations, but that's still gotta be the driver.
Absolutely.
I'd like to know how many outfitters, fishing lodges.
You just sent a text.
that we
Absolutely.
have.
Son-in-law.
That,
I mean, who are we gonna benefit?
absolutely.
Yep.
Well, and I was gonna wait till the end to talk about it, but, about 5 years ago, I lifted a program from a community college in Virginia and went to with the Coochie Tech to try to convince them that we need to start building a sustainability course, or especially sustainable tourism, and that it would be based on growing outfitters, certifying guides. We have a couple of niches where guides are certified, and it makes a huge difference. But when you look at the other places that are well established, they have an established workforce. They have training for all levels of hoteliers to make sure that people all sing off the same sheet, and they know how to have folks to come here, do what they want to do, and leave happy. Some of this is all about the strategic plan that's hanging fire, and some of it is about deciding how we, as tourism development, is gonna be a part of economic development for the county. But it is tied together, and picking some targets where we could grow and then monitoring them. Part of the Google analytic that you see is the level of data they've got is staggering, but who clicks on what, who buys what the income is, what the demographics of the households are. And you can't look at the whole world, but you could surely pick Mobile, Alabama, Valdosta, Georgia, a couple of places that are far enough that they would put heads in beds and that they're kind of low-hanging fruit, and do some demographics that way.
And along that line, how do we benchmark this as against other things? A couple meetings ago, we had the whole presentation from the the Sportsman's Adventure Show. Is that dead on the vine? As they sent us a proposal, those numbers looked huge and amazing, and to build on the momentum, if it's there, which again, I know they're presenting their numbers, but is that if we get down to making money value decisions, are we getting a 5-to-1 return on that and a 2-to-1 on this, or a 6-to-1 over there? And, is there enough for everything? And is there, I guess, to some degree, a comprehensive plan that we can be shared with on an ongoing basis? Because we see it once and then we never see it again, and then we wonder what happened, and then we get these presentations, and then
Yes, and that was a perfect segue for me to talk about the media plan. So this year we have almost $800,000 budgeted for media plan. So, we have a significant amount of funds, and that's not talking about special project fund, which we'll talk about later. But we are working with the marketing vendor. Those projects are going to be running through Miles Partnership, our new contracted marketing vendor. So some of those things that have been presented to the board are going to be direct agreements with Miles Partnership and that vendor. And what that does is it streamlines, basically it streamlines it from having to go 8 weeks sitting on the shelf to get to the BOCC just for the agreement, not the go-ahead, right? Because first you get the go-ahead and then you have to get an agreement. All agreements go through legal, et cetera. So by the scope of work this year, this fiscal year, with that marketing vendor allows us to be much more nimble and flexible. hopefully by the end of this month, that media plan will be ready for this board to get on the agenda. You all will take a look at that. And I'm all about ROI, and I'm also very interested in doing things that are successful, but we've got a huge marketing budget, and the state statute mandates that we spend it. And I think taking chances like this sometimes are good. I do say, though, that there is more work to be done. I apologize to the board because we didn't have that data set in front of you about just how many birds can be bagged, et cetera. But we'll get that back to you, and hopefully we'll throw some more ideas at you this year.
Point of clarification, so since we're on, October to September fiscal year, so are we advertising currently, or is all advertising done until the new plan is out? Like, did all of our advertising turn off October 1st?
No, I think if we've got existing agreements, and then remember, we've got contracted PR firms that are doing things. We've actually added this year, instead of just the UK and Germany, we've added a Latin American, and we're yet to pick them up, but we'll work through Miles Partnership. You'll see later in the presentation, we've got some folks coming from South America. So, yeah, we're getting interesting options, and things are happening, but again, a lot of processes and the way the media plan is going to work, et cetera, I think is going to be much more streamlined, much more effective, and we'll have both flexibility to do the special projects and use some of that, $900,000 in reserves, but also with that, it's a huge dedication of media budget, almost $800,000. We can do some really innovative things and try to bring other opportunities.
Yes.
I think, we're gonna get more information from them, but honestly, in their presentation, what I did like was they're talking about Alabama, states that no one's ever really told us, here's where we're focusing, and there was a lot of money in just those two states, so you have to go, is the risk gonna be worth getting people from that area, getting their money, and getting them to love Citrus County? So sometimes you gotta take a little chance.
This is special project funding, or?
No, this would potentially could be rolled into the media plan, just depending. But we can treat it as a special project if we don't make the media plan, certainly.
Yeah, just remember that I have a very activist board when it comes to TDC, so whatever we vote on, I have to then defend. So
Well, and I love the idea of that market area too. I mean, if we can draw them over.
I have always been good with risking on a new proposition as long as we cut it.
Yes.
My business partner always says there are no failed tests.
Right.
You either you learn to keep going with a certain direction, or you go, well, that direction didn't work.
Exactly.
And additionally,
So
the idea of doing a couple of small experiments, like you said, I'm not sure of the cities, but if you pick them so it's too far to drive and do anything during the day, and just beyond that, we can measure it. We can do it, particularly when you pick a niche area like Osceola turkeys. You can follow that and get some numbers and get a return because you know exactly what we spent on it.
right. So anything further? All right. What's next? That would be you, Frank.
Yes, and I'm going to do it from here, if that's okay with the board, just because I have a lot of papers and I might want to
course.
refer to them. All right, so TDT tax revenue here. We are looking at, you've got a document in front of you with some year over year that's actually up 7.28%. But I want to point your attention really to that capital reserve, $812,000 of money to do good works, physical things, construction, seagrass replenishment, and that is after we've already awarded this year about $500,000 for the Safe Crystal River and the Homosassa River restoration. So it was up a little bit higher. We've knocked out $500,000, but still significant amount on that one. Can you do? Yeah, year to date, 6.64%. We can go to the next. Yeah.
Because
Sorry.
I'm dense. September revenue represents the August hotel stays. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct. Are we 1 or 2 months behind on?
Yeah, I think it's 1 month behind. Is that correct?
That's how it has been, but then
Yeah.
Terry had mentioned something about it being trued up, but I don't know how it could be.
Some pending true up, I
So
think.
it's revenue that we received in September that would have been collected by the hotels the prior month.
I think that is correct. And there is a true-up coming. I met with finance yesterday. There's a lot of numbers, so I'm still honestly getting, what I'm working on is to get some graphics, and we'll present this stuff in graph form. It's a lot easier, I think, for, at least for me, to digest visually. So we're going to get on that.
So, Frank, I mean, that's
Yes.
a really important point to know when,
Yeah.
Yes,
because of the
gotcha.
hurricane, because of the tornado, because of everything else. And, you know, as long as everything has always been in the black
Yep.
and going up, it wasn't so important, but we need to know what these,
Big bump on August on the one, the sheet you have with the blue. It's got percentage change on the left. It's got some numbers. You can see there was August was very good, and then September was low. And again, hard to say exactly what was going on there with the storms and.
But I suspect September hotel stays, October hotel stays are low, which is gonna be about 6 out of 7 months seeing a drop.
To your point, Michael, if you look at the month-to-month thing, it shows that July's collection was $270,000, where August's collection is $346,000. August is not as big as July, so the August numbers are reflective of
Probably
the
July.
collection from July.
Yeah, makes sense.
So to your point, the September numbers are the collection we made in August that are then paid in September.
Okay.
Because this September's numbers,
Yeah.
you're not gonna like them.
Okay.
Well, and October's not gonna be any better.
No, October a little better, only poquito.
not to state the obvious, but when we would be really nice to have better labels on stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Where if it says September, it is
August is numbers.
August numbers collected in September, and find a short way to do that. Because it just really helps for clarity, because when you're just looking at that and you see September, you automatically equate that to
Right.
heads and beds in September, not heads and beds in August.
Fair enough, and again, trying to get some graphics together, working with finance and understanding, how DOR reports. Part of it is we let DOR do the collections for us. A lot of counties, the vast majority of counties don't let DOR, they do it themselves, so that's something certainly I'm having conversations about. Because again, just throw it out there, probably a good chance we're missing on a lot of revenue just by the way our relationship with the tax collector and how these things are done. So I'm working very closely on that with some different areas within, so we are working on that, and that hopefully will be another way to capture more of that revenue. I think we've got a lot of short-term revenue to capture, and I think I emailed with a board member this week about that. Looking at with Miles Partnership to purchase certain types of data and reports that we can start to make that data set available, make that case to this board, and then eventually BOCC have a sit down with the tax collector and think about how we can capture probably millions of dollars in revenue that we're missing right now.
Do we know what the state trend is? I mean, are we the only ones trending down, or is the whole state trending down?
I do not have that information. I could certainly get it back to you. I think in general, I did read a report where this was a bad summer for tourism all over. There was a lot of press. I think it was a CNN article. The typical inflation, wildfires, disasters, kind of mayhem that we saw. But I can try to get you some state data.
I'm actually reading other things in Wall Street Journal that says that people are still investing in experiences despite inflation and everything else. So I'm reading different things on that. Doesn't mean that that both can't be true.
True.
But to Luann's point, knowing what the state is doing would be really helpful in comparison.
Makes sense.
Frank, if the county's looking to go elsewhere from having DOR collected, I mean, the city contracts with a firm for short-term rental purposes that track them
Okay.
for us, but they specialize in collections.
Right.
Granicus.
Okay, I remember reading about that. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I may like to have a conversation about that, because again, we want to a systematic way to drive people towards the business tax receipt as well, which is a county. We only had.
They'll find you if you're not.
Yeah, Commissioner Bays sent me, she's been very interested in this, and she sent me an email back in August, which tells you how busy I am, because I just got to it last week, but it was on the shelf. But I think we have 128 registered short-term rental businesses in Citrus County. I did a VRBO and Airbnb search for November, second week of November, 1,000 available. So that tells you we got a glaring hole in our collections. Yeah, so we're on it, and again, not only for the business tax receipt, but that short-term rental revenue on sales tax and head tax, bed tax. So, yeah, we're on it. Okay, I guess next slide, sorry. Okay, oh, no, that's Alyssa.
I guess I'll just sit here.
Whatever
too,
you're
just-
comfortable with,
just
it's a
like
new
Frank.
world.
Hi, I'm going to go over social media. So in late September, October, our best performing post on Facebook was a photo compilation of Floral City Historic Area. I went down there and took a lot of really pretty pictures, and Floral City always does well. People have a lot of fond memories, and they just love it, so that did well. And I'm planning to do, obviously, more on Floral City. So then on our fishing page, it was Captain Tony, always does he's our poster boy for our fishing page. And then on Instagram, our best reel, which is a video, was it was from Get Up and Go Crystal River. They have clear kayaks, and it was a nice video of a manatee, and I put some nice music on it, and it did quite well both on Instagram and on Facebook. Oh, yeah. We dropped a little bit this month, not surprising, because some of what we normally do, we weren't doing. We had no influencers coming in for a couple of months. Terry wasn't traveling to promote us. And then we had a lag in the ads from Madden to Miles Partnership, so we didn't have some advertising. And then also September, October, from what I understand, is not two of our best months for visitors. So we're barely holding on to that second spot, and I'm crossing my fingers that we still keep that second spot next month. But they have been gaining on us because we haven't been getting the followers that we normally get. But we still have some. So we had on Instagram, we had 381 new followers and almost 200,000 impressions, and our accounts engaged did go up. And then on Facebook, we had 426. Our post reach was almost 500,000, and our visits were a little over 7,000. And then on stories, we had I created 124 stories that in those 4 weeks, and then our best single day was 838. So we can. So this is a little something that I wanted to show you guys. So in late September, I created an events highlight on Instagram. And this is specifically to cater to the events that we're having in Citrus County. Cootertober was a big hit. I knew that there were going to be a lot of events associated with that, and also other places around the county. And the events highlight will be great moving into November and December with all the holiday stuff going on. So this is just a sampling of what I did on stories. So what I do is I create stories. I think I've gone over this again, but I'll go over it again. Before, and I'll go over it again. These stories stay up for 24 hours and then they disappear. But if you put them into a highlight, then they stay forever. And visitors, can go into these highlights and see what's going on. So it's great for events. I promoted the heck out of Cootertober and other, we had an Oktoberfest at, I think it was Crump's Landing. I promoted that. So I try to cover the whole county with I try to promote whatever's going on. And Christina does a great job adding the events to our website, but then we also have a self-serve portal that you can add your event to. And a lot of the different organizations are using that. So this is just a sampling of what was in our stories, and then I put them in the events. And then what I do, just FYI, after the event is completed, I go back into the events and I remove it, because I don't want it to just sit there for people to go in and say, oh, this is old news, this has already happened. So I do make a concerted effort to remove those as soon as the event is completed, okay? And that's it for that. And then, so moving forward, as of right now, Terry and I will be splitting the FAM tours. And so this one coming up, Escape Australia, the journalist is Kara Murphy. Terry is going to be the lead on that FAM tour, and they have a really great circulation or readership. They're a blog, and they get millions of views. So it's going to be great for us to be featured in that publication. Then, as Frank mentioned, we have the Columbia Media Mission, and this came from Visit Florida. So they told us about this, and they suggested this FAM tour. We thought it was a good opportunity. Columbia is an emerging market for us. Central America and South America, they like Florida a lot, but apparently Colombians have not been exposed, and they're not acquainted with Citrus County, so we thought this was a good opportunity, and Brittany from Hayworth PR also thought that it could be really good for us. So it's going to be 5 different journalists from Columbia, 5 different travel magazines for Columbia, and then we'll also be hosting 2 from Visit Florida. They'll be traveling with them, and I'm going to be working on that itinerary very shortly, and I'm going to be the lead for that one. And then the Info via Hera, Quillis, they're another big blog. They actually are 23 million viewers a year. So it's very big, and I'm going to be the lead on that. Yeah, if I didn't say that. So we've got some great opportunities coming up. I'm excited that we're going to have FAM tours again, because it really hurt social media not to have those FAM tours coming in. We're not getting the followers, we're not getting the views, because these different organizations, these travel blogs, these publications, they have a lot of viewers, millions that we don't have, and then they promote us, and then it's like a chain reaction, a very positive chain reaction. So happy that they're coming. And then we're also working on another influencer who's got a big following, and she's from Chicago. Hopefully she'll be coming here in early 2024. And Chicago's a big market for us because it gets so cold there. They come down here for the winter. And is that it? I think that's it. All right, thank you.
I have a question
Yes.
on how you prep for meetings like Colombia and Argentina.
How I don't really have an answer for you too much, because I don't normally do that. So, yeah.
Obviously, it's a whole different world. Those people that come will all speak English, but they still think Spanish, and there are sensitivities, and you want to make sure that the people that you have participating are capable of representing us well and are prepared to do that.
I have filled in for both Terry and Jody before. I have done quite a few FAM tours, I think like 8 this past year. So I am familiar with meeting them and greeting them and showing them around.
Okay,
So
but to sort of prep, I'm talking about, if we're gonna get into international, we gotta be serious about it. And it starts with, so are they all Bogotazos that are coming, or are they people from Medellin, from all the Atlantic coast? There's a lot of money there. They do have a tradition of travel. The last 30 years have been real hard on them because of the problems they had with the FARC. But they're different folks, so we should know the magazines, the cities that are represented. And it would be really good if you had some, and I am not one of those, proficient Spanish speakers to participate.
You are proficient, Max, because we were speaking Spanish in my office. So I will be involved in those. I did the research myself on Argentina. I'm bilingual, Spanish, and lived in Argentina for a year. So I'll be involved in that one as well. I did their research. They're from Mar del Plata, so it's a beach community. So yeah, I did my work. Again, we've rolled out some changes. We did the pause, and I know it hurt us, but we're coming back stronger. We're going to have a lead on each fam. It's on everybody's calendar now. So these folks will, if something comes up, somebody calls in sick, we're all going to be able to step in there and really want to give these folks a wonderful experience, meet them, see them off, have staff there. So we are tweaking, just got approval from legal to bring in some more flexibility. I've got to update the policy, but some of the meal flexibility, we may be moving towards a per diem. I'll bring that idea to the board later date, but some of these are going to be very intimate experiences with a couple or a family, right? So we can't have staff always, we don't want staff always involved in these meals, but right now our purchasing policy, and this is part of the reason we needed to pull those things back, was staff need to be present and accountable for every purchase on that purchasing card. So if you're not there at the point of service, right, point of sale, you can't be accountable. So now we're tightening up procedures, but looking for that flexibility so that we can say, hey, here's your itinerary, we meet you, we do introductions, etc. They go off on their own, have experiences, we meet up again, we see them off, but there's also probably this, hopefully, potential for the per diem to allow them to come to our venue, enjoy a meal at their own discretion, and then afterwards we just do the accounting and provide the check for those. So we're on it, but helpful to have ideas from the board certainly as well.
Can I say something? I've been in touch with Maria, who's the liaison to South America and Central America from Visit Florida, and she'll have a lot of info for us as well. And I mean, if you want, you can email me with some pertinent questions, and I'm happy to go back to her and ask her those questions. So that would be very helpful for me. I mean, not as much for Frank, but for me. So yeah, and I have cards.
Anything else? Okay. PR?
Do you want to handle that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize there was in there. Okay. So this is from Hayworth. These are our numbers that they've collected. Over 1 billion impressions. And the views, almost 7 million. That's pretty good. And engagements over 300,000. So that's still pretty good, I think. And these were some of the posts that were, promoting Citrus County. And I don't know, I guess they're not. Oh, it's a lag.
Yeah, it looks like there's a
yeah.
lag.
Mm-hmm.
So that was all one. Okay.
So
it's
some of
pretty-
these aren't
yeah.
available for us because probably we have bad internet service here, but we have some good, if you can, so,
Scroll back.
yeah.
Is that all individual businesses?
Yes, they're all influencers. Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
So again, I think this shows how important influencers are when we host them to go out into the world and promote us. On our social media channels, I'm not going to get 6.4 million hits. So it's really important to have them come.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
what's the, moving forward, I know there was some conversation about the changeover from Madden to Miles, and therefore PR might have been fluxed in that in the process because PR or Madden or Hayworth is not part of Miles, where Hayworth was part of Madden.
I can answer.
Okay.
So we are moving forward with Hayworth again.
Okay.
That was preferred vendor, and so we've not lost any momentum on that. Hayworth is hit the ground running, so we're in good
But there
shape.
was a little bit of a hiccup in advertising, you said.
That's what I was told, that there was
Yeah.
a week or two, couple weeks that we didn't have advertising because the contracts had to be signed.
Yeah, and to clarify, Hayworth had to have a contract with Miles Partnership, so that lagged a little bit. That is, but because again, they couldn't do anything until they had the contract signed. But again, in transition, it's nice that we're sticking with Hayworth. They had our materials, very preferred.
And Brittany's great. She's our key person over at Hayworth, and I've worked with her before, so it's not like a new relationship. She knows me, and so I've been emailing her and talking to her on the phone, and she's been very helpful in our transition, our change.
So in the temporary hiccup category, we have advertising, we have FAM tours, we have hurricane, we have tornado, we have staff changeover, okay? So that's 5 reasons that the numbers are red,
Still
okay?
waiting for the locusts and the frogs.
Way to stick the landing.
Don't say that.
Okay, so that's, did I miss any? That's 5,
I think you're good.
5 hiccups, okay? Major ones. I think the overarching issue is that if those are just hiccups, everybody on this board and the people we represent, which are the other the other places where people stay, the restaurants, everyone else. If it's just that hiccup, we're going to breathe a big sigh of relief, and those numbers are going to come right back up. But we all need to make business decisions based on, is it a hiccup or is there an overarching looming decline? And so that's why I think we're asking for numbers like, what is Florida as a whole doing? Because we're operating in a very toxic climate right now, and people are worried with the upcoming election, things like that. So I really do want to know what the trend line is for travel. Travel overall, travel to Florida, to find out to try to see a little bit into the future so people can make wiser business decisions moving forward.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Okay. So I think we didn't have FAM tours, and Terry wasn't traveling and promoting us, and September and October weren't our greatest months normally, right? But I think what hurt us the most is that hurricane and that tornado. That's just my take on it, because I do talk to business owners, and that was the big thing that hurt us, because going out on national TV, right, were these images of Crystal River getting destroyed, right? Now, we're not destroyed, and we did come back pretty quickly, I felt, and we did do posts and videos talking about how we are up and running again. But I think the overall perception from the general public is not that. And that's just my opinion of talking to businesses, and they're
Can someone
hurting.
check the chamber, since you guys, co-locate with them? Can someone double check the chamber front page and see if they took down their giant screaming emergency red slider that says Hurricane Idalia really large? Because I told them about 2 weeks ago that needed to really come down, because it says that we've been destroyed. And you were telling me that you've seen things on forums where people are, you wanted to speak to that?
Yeah, there's a lot of chatter about it in various forums where people mention Crystal River, and then other, Facebook experts or, social media experts weigh in and say, well, don't go to Crystal River, it was destroyed because of the hurricane, and then somebody else does. So it's pervasive out there, and it doesn't reflect reality. Now, I wasn't here last month because I attended 3 different tourism conferences, all the way in Orlando. And the stuff coming out of that was, one, it's experience travel is picking up, but regular travel is down. Florida as a whole is feeling a pinch, especially if we're looking at year over year, because we opened up sooner, the U.S. opened up sooner than Asia. People came and visited Florida, now they want to go somewhere else. So the ones that are traveling are looking at other alternatives. And we were the only game in town for a while. That's not the case anymore. So now we've got to compete to hold our share. And even more so on the water sports side, like one of the conferences I went to was specifically water sports, predominantly Florida, and almost every one of them, 2023 was down over 2022 for the year. We've been exceeding that, and I think Citrus as a whole has done better than Florida, and on the water sports side. But there's a trend down below there, and it's going to pull us down some. So we're going to have to work hard to overcome that and maintain. And that's part of the problem looking year over year. 2022 was a record year. Not hitting it isn't the end of the world, but what are realistic expectations going forward?
Thank you. I just checked the chamber site. They did take it down.
Good.
Anything? Board? Okay. You guys are all done?
I do have one question.
Yes,
Where are
sir.
we at on staffing? Are we still looking for a new director? And
They just finished, I believe, the brochure.
The job description is going, job title change is going to the board on the 14th, so next Tuesday. We'll be calling that the tourism director if the board approves. So just because we really don't have a VCB, we don't have a convention or a visitors bureau. So tourism director is more appropriate, we felt. And then on the 14th, if that is approved, then we'll be able to post, hopefully by the end of the month. Yep.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to remind everybody that the Light Up Inverness event's gonna happen December 2nd, which is going to include a lighted boat parade
Wonderful.
that everybody's invited to.
Do you have a spot for me on your boat?
We're not gonna judge it this year. It's just gonna be fun.
Okay. I didn't want to judge anyway, because
But we'll see.
you can only lose votes on that.
Yeah, you might have to be in the front boat if you're gonna be on our boat, so.
December 2nd?
Yeah. Yeah, we usually get about 40 boats. It's, we coordinate it with the lighting of the Christmas tree down at Liberty Park, and it's just a huge event. It's fun.
It's really pretty.
Yes,
I went last year.
so be ready.
Is that, both events are on the 2nd then?
Yeah, in the evening. Best place to see it is at Liberty Park. And they do the lighting of the tree down there, and then the boat parade comes around in front after all that's done.
Yeah, for some reason I just had the 3rd for the Christmas tree stuck in my brain.
That's
I
no, I'm
probably
pretty sure it's
is, yes.
Saturday the 2nd. So I could
I
be off.
believe it.
I could be off.
Oh, isn't that the, is it a Saturday night? That's Crystal River
Yep.
Parade too.
Yep.
I'm driving the ponies in the parade.
Well, then you won't be on the boat.
But I'll be driving the ponies the following weekend in the Inverness Parade, so I'm spreading the love.
They are.
Thank you. Ken, do you have anything from Crystal River?
Yeah. I mean, the last couple of months have been a little busy for us between tornadoes and hurricanes and we just. Locusts, wildfires. I've actually got a report of an earthquake in downtown Crystal River from a resident, but I don't think she's there.
What bar were they close to?
Yeah. So, as far as Hurricane Idalia, one of our vendors illegally tied his entire fleet to our dock out there and ripped it out. And I don't even know if we ever found the dock, but so that dock is no more, and it's really put a hurting on the kayak launches. Doug's team and his staff, aside from trying to get some money back from that vendor, they've got us back up and running. So thank you. So Kings Bay Park is up and running. Hunter Springs Park's up and running.
When did that happen?
Idalia. So
Idalia?
yeah, he just double hooked all of his entire fleet across the whole dock, and it just ripped the whole damn thing out. So anyway, so regarding Idalia, so Kings Bay Park is back open, Hunter Springs Park is back open. If this board recalls, back in June, I pitched some tourism mitigation projects. One of them was dredging out of Hunter Springs. Doug is trying to work with FEMA. Maybe we can get FEMA to pay for that. Anybody that's been in Hunter Springs their entire life realizes it's this big now versus the size of this room. I mean, it used to be a massive spring, but all the years and decades of beach renourishment have just washed into that spring. So we're working on trying to get that dredged out, hopefully using FEMA money. Max, you brought something up that really caught my attention. That was the certifications. One of the things, and then Mita actually brought it to the city, and the city's just not the venue to do this, but and Mike, you guys would probably agree, because you guys are the better players out there, but there's some really bad players as far as manatee tours on the water that don't know what they're doing. They're causing problems, and a certification process would be huge if we could accomplish that.
When I started writing a book on paddling in 2016, and I ended up partnering with Matt Clemens, who at the time had a shop there. The county used to have a certified ecotourism standard, and it was a limited number of people, but that was one of the reasons he finally closed up, was he couldn't, no, he was literally the only one following the complete, and if the standards are too hard, that's not smart, but when you have no standards, bad incidents do not help tourism.
Yeah. Well, in fairness to the industry, I mean, they did approach the city and said, we need this. The city just, we don't have the horsepower to pull something like that off. It really needs to be, maybe even this.
And that's why I had talked to, with Gucci Tech, that that would be a separate program. There are other tech colleges and schools in the country that do it. We have, if they get real about who teaches it, they don't have to be college professors to teach it. They have to be professionals. But it's doable. It would just take the wherewithal for us to say, let's do it. Miss Bishop's problem was, she told me unless I could get all volunteers to teach every one of the classes, she had no money in her budget that would allow her to do that sort of thing. But our technical college is a big part of our workforce, and our workforce should be creating workers that, I mean, it's getting to be an issue all over the country, but that can be plug and play to go into the businesses in the county, and that can do the business in a way that will, as a minimum, not chase people away, and hopefully where they'll say, those folks up there really have their excrement co-located. So.
So essentially, ecotourism, hospitality sort of program on a larger scale. On a smaller scale, we need Manatee Manor certification.
That was it,
basically.
because, I mean, we see, and it's, nobody
So
in this room.
maybe we just start with that.
I mean, you'll see these tours out there, and the manatees over here, and they don't have a swimmer in the water, and here goes one of their rogue tourists out in the middle of the channel, trying to find something, and I see it all the time, because these guys are really not trained in what they're doing.
That's probably, or that is without doubt, the biggest problem we're facing is manatee manners. But it's also about do no harm on the trails. People come here for an environment that's been protected just by the low numbers of folks that live here and the traditions of this is our place, we take care of it. The more new residents we have, the more new tourists we bring, the more you're seeing beer cans and stuff all over the place. So.
I will say,
So we need
just
to get the other city and then-
from the
Yeah,
staff
or
standpoint,
you wanna talk to
we've started to have conversations about leave no trace principles, and some of these organizations, like Knowles, the National Outdoor Leadership School, they've got established curriculum for this stuff, and I think it's something we definitely are going to look at. It would be, I think, a great idea to be a standout destination for sustainable ecotourism. And again, some of that is maybe just this, this organization starting to become a membership of something like Knowles. Of course, we'll have to look at that and see if that agrees with Board of County Commissioners, et cetera. But as we establish ourselves as a county that believes in those principles, now there's probably potential to use scholarship money to get these vendors certified and on board. I mean, that's part of what we're doing here, I think. So potentially establishing a scholarship where a vendor could apply, and then we start getting these tour operators certified and hopefully driving business to those responsible operators.
Are the vendors not licensed?
I think licensing is different, than this next level of certification that says I am outstanding in my field beyond whatever the basic, I'm not honestly
Business
familiar.
tax certificate.
Yeah,
Yeah, they pay their $25.
Yeah, can't
Occupational.
something be attached to it that they have to have some kind of certification training?
Yeah, prerequisite or something like that, yeah, absolutely.
You know?
It would take the city and the county, lock them together to do it, because it's, it's, because that's almost as the Chasowitz and everything needs to be included on that.
And then they've got to be programs with no fluff in them that are tailored for us, for how we do business here, not California where there's
Sure.
Well-
garter snails flying everywhere or something.
The legality of, we can't limit businesses for not having certifications, I don't believe. The higher levels of certifications, can we?
You
There-
you
there's-
don't need to, though, it's the incentive of when you get that Citrus County seal that says you're a cut above,
Right.
that all your
Yep.
folks are trained. That's-
We as a board, I believe, could limit who can advertise with us, and it could be only certified.
You can limit that, and you can limit, for instance, Pete's Pier, the city owns Pete's Pier Boat Ramp. And we could say, you're not launching that commercial vessel unless you show us your certification.
Yeah,
We could do that. You can't limit their activity once they're on the water, but you certainly.
we can make
there's-
it painful and difficult.
Well, and, I mean, being a restaurant, we have to jump through hoops. We're accountable people, so why can't they be accountable?
There you go.
I mean, that's just,
Who's gonna regulate?
common sense.
yeah.
Yeah, maritime law is a lot, it's very difficult to regulate what's going on the water, but before they get to the water, you certainly can.
Well, and that's where it needs to happen, in my opinion.
Great.
That's why I was trying to feel my way through this, because there's minefields in the middle of that, but it's certainly a worthy goal to get to the end, which is to, if nothing else, make it easy and also help promote businesses that have that high-level certification. I've actually taken a tour with Mike's company, and they do a phenomenal job on Manatee Manors,
Yep.
right? So promoting that kind of business, not just Mike's, but the other businesses that do that, I assume Plantation probably does very good with it as well. Then those guys need to rise to the top to get most of the business.
That was one of the methods for META, was to self-regulate. the
Yep.
What's the word, big E word, the efficacy, the proper use of their tours.
And the holy grail for me is to reduce the traffic and raise the cost. So
Exactly.
you get the same money, because the experience level goes down, the more it is like a Carnival cruise line, where there's more cubic feet of body than water in the
Yeah.
pools on Carnival.
Yeah.
I have,
You know?
I have a question.
Yes.
So the certification, would that just be for Crystal River, or would it be for Citrus County, which would include Homosassa? Because we have tour companies that.
Oh, it would be for
Yes.
all waters,
Oh, okay, okay, thank you.
yeah.
All manatee tours.
Okay,
Well,
okay.
yeah.
But that's
I mean,
just-
it's really complicated because not every tour company is based in Crystal River.
Right.
Not every tour company, not every tour company is even based in Citrus County. Okay? There are some from the outside. Okay? Not every tour company is a member of META because that's optional. And not every tour company has a U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service special use permit. And there's actually more that have shown up recently that aren't even bothering because that permit's only good for Three Sisters and for the keyhole at King Spring. So anywhere else, all you need is the $50, $75, whatever it is for the, city business license or county business license, and you can legally run a tour. There are no requirements on having a guide in the water, or anything like that. Fish and Wildlife requires that if you're in Three Sisters or if you're in King Spring, but other than that, it's fair game. So the varying authorities and varying rules, make it a mess out there, and it's optional. Now, who wants to set themselves apart type thing, that's the play, and maybe that's where we as a TDC, and it's tough for me, owning a tour company, but if there were standards that needed to be met before you could advertise, before you could host the fam tour, before, any of that, and that's defined and it's put out there, hey, these are the standards we want our guests to experience, and you meet them, we'll be glad to, include you in the fam tour rotation or, whatever that process is. But there's a bar, and then you either get to the bar and participate or you don't. I think saying you can't operate is a whole separate level unless the city somehow did it, but that's essentially one boat ramp, well, two at the moment, I guess.
Yeah, there's other tricks to the trade on that.
Yeah, and, you know, we could, you know, really go down a rabbit hole, I suspect. So, how do you incentivize people to essentially up their game and rise to the standard?
Well, we could probably benchmark off a couple of the places. Certainly, the Keys have done a lot in that area. We have some
Right.
amazing high-end tourism, and that
Right.
sustainable ecotourism is really all about convincing everybody they've got skin in the game, making more money on it, and making sure it's gonna last.
Right,
There you go.
I'm familiar with the Blue Star program. I've had conversations with the Leaving No Trace folks, because I saw them I used to be a Leaving No Trace instructor, but I saw them at a conference last year and bumped into them again this year at the governor's conference, and, you know, touch base with Leave No Trace, one of their sets of principles applicable to what we do, our paddles principles. But, for a swim tour, animal encounter. So, there's different things. How do you do it? See, the Mantic Club has a program, et cetera. So there's different options out there. But how does that get promoted so that everybody ups their game? And as bad as it is now, compared to 10 years ago, when I first got in town, it's a hell of a lot better. I mean, it's not even the same game out there, compared to 10 years ago. I don't know much about Homosassa, but, there's not much oversight in the Homosassa area compared to Crystal River. So,
Well, I
Madam
think.
Chair,
Yeah.
if this is something this board wants to tackle, I'd be, I've already started it myself. We put together my previous role at Kings Bay Focus Group, and where we had, an individual from kind of each walk of life, and we had somebody from Mead on there, and that's where that came from. And they gave me a list of this is what we would suggest. Maybe that's something that we could have a subcommittee of this group. I know it'd be a sunshine group, but, and do a deeper dive into that, because it's definitely needed. I mean, I was out there 2 days ago, and this guy had eight swimmers in the water, about a football field away from his boat, and he's out there smoking pot. So,
Oh, yay.
nobody local. I mean, we didn't recognize the name, but they're out there.
That's awful.
on multiple levels, right? Because that's a Coast Guard infraction.
Yeah.
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 Even if they have a medical card.
Wow, wow. Yes,
There's a way to maybe present it to where we can be a little more forceful, and I've harped this for years. We run them off because they're being harassed and they find somewhere else to go. That's just the manatees alone. We're only the nature coast as long as we got nature, so maybe we can instill in these companies, if you insist on doing business, you either do it right or you'll be part of what makes it go away.
yeah, but somebody who's smoking pot with his swimmers that far away
That's just insane.
they don't care, they live for the now.
Well, they need cuffed and
So-
stuffed, but that's my opinion.
The things I hear on boards. Anyway, it would, again, we can make things as painful as legally possible for
We
bad
need to.
actors.
I mean,
So-
I know some people that would love to see the Coast Guard show up at Pete's Pier with a whole bottle of little cups.
Yeah.
Because you'd probably get rid of about 100 fishing captains
I
that
bet.
way too.
Say, this is gonna lead to fishing captains too, it's not gonna be just manatee tours.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in Citrus County is a captain.
Well, let's
Lest
start.
we digress too far.
Yeah.
We can start, I like the idea of a subcommittee, starting with just manatee manners for the entire county. Figure out how to make it easy for the good people to do well and hard for the bad people to do well. Agreed?
It's a good start.
Yes.
Okay.
Much needed.
And,
Some-
and then you would eventually work with them on all of that.
Yep,
Okay.
sounds good.
So my last item, this is specific to Kings Bay. One of my, since I started as city manager, one of my focuses was cleaning up Kings Bay and all those sailboats that are out there. I just put together a permit application to Army Corps of Engineers, FDEP, Coast Guard and FWC to mark a channel in the deep area on the east side of Buzzard Island where the sailboats are. What that allow is, once that's in place, the sheriff's department can tell people you can't anchor in those channels anymore. And at least push them off to the side. So that's
Thank you for working on that.
that's in place. So I'm not even charging the city for my
Our home
engineering.
river is not what it once was. Now, when you do the dredging in Hunter Spring, if you could please put the high dive back, I would really be appreciative.
Oh, that was terrifying as a child.
No, it wasn't. I'm an adrenaline junkie. I ran right off that thing.
I got pushed off it and I still ended up having a good time.
So who wants to wrap the discussion up on the committee? Who wants to be on the committee? Max, Ken,
I'd like to.
Mike?
Yeah, well, can we, or do we stumble into sunshine?
It has to be a sunshine committee. It would have to be
Okay,
legally
yeah.
noticed.
Oh, okay, yeah, then
Yeah.
all good. If it can
Yeah.
only be one, then.
Yeah. So you three, anyone else?
I know there's some others that would like to be on it. Kim Altman's probably somebody.
You can, and we do this on 4CF. We have members of the 4CF board on a committee, but we also have external committee members.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
it should probably be, there should be a META officer.
Is she an
Involved.
officer anymore?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so.
So we have a consensus to put this forward, to get that rolling, and whenever we need to take a vote on the members, probably at the next meeting. Okay. So, will you three work on who else should be on your
Yeah.
committee? Okay.
But we can't do it until after that.
You can't,
next
but
meeting.
you can communicate with Frank individually,
Fair enough.
who you
Okay.
think should be on the committee. All right, City of Inverness, what you got?
Okay, quickly, Cootertober's behind us. It was amazingly successful. Every event in town was packed. To wind up with the Cooterween, of course, the trick or treating, the Corvette Club was trying to keep track. They have the entire Tompkins Street just blocked off for the kids to go through town and come through. They lost count after 3,000 kids. They had,
Dang.
well, they were counting, I'm glad they're patient people and have time. They counted candy. And, they had ran out after 210,000 pieces of candy. Like, I just know it was packed and everybody had fun. The Festival of the Arts was wonderful. We're now
I
getting.
love that, I went to that.
It was, the new setup worked very well where you could just go around instead of the backs of the tents being open to the restaurants, basically. It was the reverse, so that went well. We'll have more to announce about the Cooter Turtle program. I'm just likening it to those of you that were here remember the horses, the big horse sculptures in Marion County,
Oh, we've got
Ocala.
manatees in Crystal River, so,
Well,
yeah,
we're gonna have the Cooters.
good.
And, amazing. The murals, if y'all don't have any reason to come to the east side, just come to look at the new murals, cause they're amazing. And,
They're done?
yes,
So Elvis and then.
we have
then,
the original Elvis and Cover Me in Sunshine.
Yeah,
And we've got more businesses requesting them on their walls, so.
wonderful.
Yeah, we had people telling us, we travel to see murals, so we're opening up a whole new branch of tourism. I was not aware that people will travel around the country just to look at murals, so we're breaking new ground there, and then I must always remember the money for advertising that we're looking for. I just have to be the squeaky wheel. But other than that, I know we're running late, so I'm good. Inverness is
We're not
moving.
running late, we're almost done.
Well, I mean, almost.
Slightly tangential to, tourism, but it's directly in Inverness's court. The, Government Hill column
Yes.
on 41.
Mhm.
I understand that you guys talked more about the pavilion, which needs to be torn down because
Oh,
it's
I
infested and
wish I
everything.
could show you the pictures. It's a skeleton.
But I don't
rotting wood.
particularly care about what I
Right.
care about is the stone column. And it would be, from what I understand, it's going to probably just be pushed over by FDOT.
We looked at
It was
moving it.
created, it was created in the 1930s under WPA of
Yes, it
Roosevelt.
was.
And it was the center of government for this area when there was only a few thousand people living here.
Right, it was a
So-
social gathering. We discussed that at length last night. Our staff had looked at moving it. And the way it was constructed, it'll be destroyed, but the plaque is still good, so we are,
So the column itself can.
the column
can-
itself just crumbles, but the plaque that's on the column
Oh.
is
Why
salvageable.
rock crumbles?
Limestone does.
It's
Oh.
limestone.
Is
and
it made
I-
out of limestone?
Yes.
Cement gets harder the older it is, so that's, you know.
It's a non-starter?
You could recreate it fairly easily. I mean, and you know, we really need to protect the history and culture, including of the last century. So, I know as a citizen, I'll be going to that wonderful
Well, and we're
concert.
going to put a monument there, because obviously it's the state's forest, it's the state's, we run the park, we lease it, the property, but it all belongs to the state. They want it all gone. What we can do is we're gonna take and put a monument, a historic marker to Government Hill and give the history of it on that site where the people coming through the park, jogging, walking, whatever, will have the opportunity to
Okay,
see it. So
so you're on it and you're
we
respecting
are
the history
ahead of the
and all
game on that.
Okay,
We
good.
are protecting
Because
it.
somebody called me from the
Oh.
county that, is a resident who
Yeah.
was really disturbed that we didn't
Because
seem
people
to,
don't
that we
look
didn't
for
seem
the
to care.
facts, and we do seem to care. I brought it up in 1998 when it was already
I was
starting.
talking about
to
the
crumble.
county, not you guys.
No,
that
no, but
we don't seem to care.
Well, they don't think anyone cares, but
But-
they don't understand we have rules too, you know? We gotta follow, you know.
I know.
But we are on it,
No
and there
one was
will.
throwing Inverness under the bus, they were throwing
No, no.
us under
Well,
the
they
bus.
when they throw one of us, they throw all of us, because they think we're all just,
Well, that makes me feel better. Not that last part, but the fact that you're on top of it and
we are gonna
respecting
have a
history.
historic, it's gonna be right there, a plaque, and it
Okay.
will, we're not
Good.
letting the state just bulldoze everything.
And other business, you're done, Peter Tober?
For the most part, I'm done. We're
Okay.
just rolling on, getting ready for the December, which I'll announce in November, or
Cool.
in December.
I'm so excited for everything you guys are doing.
Thank you. We are too.
You have a thought?
Yeah, I should have brought this up under A4 with the approval of the agenda. And I apologize, I already spoke, but we had it at the last meeting, we brought up a grant request for a bathroom. I fully expected it to be on this agenda.
It didn't make the deadline.
A month?
It did not make the deadline, so we would have to wait for the next meeting. The legal has reviewed the grant application, so I received the okay on that to move forward. Normally, business would come to this board for recommendation. The request, I believe, was $350,000. This board would determine whether to put that whole amount to the next BOCC or fund at a partial, et cetera. If we were able to get a consensus today, I think we could get it on the agenda a little faster. And maybe Ken, you want to speak about the cities out getting bids, I think, at this point, so it's some initiative to fast track that.
If we want to get into it,
Doug,
Doug can
okay.
speak of the specifics, but I know we pared down the original project. Our original ask was to tear down the old bathroom and put in just a bigger one, but the old bathroom's fine, it's just not big enough, so. Doug, I think it's come down to just a new, smaller bathroom you're asking for?
Okay, I guess we moved on to open to the public. I'll circle back and
Sorry
finish.
about that.
Okay.
I'll finish.
If you'd like me to wait, I'd be
It's
glad
more
to
of a
wait.
procedural question as to the.
How are we handling it, or don't worry about time?
Try to be
Chairman.
3 minutes or less.
I'll be very brief, Madam Chair.
Okay.
The main thing that Mr. Frank was bringing up was about the fact that we're going to continue to maintain the bathroom that we have now. It was constructed in 2016. It's just far not at capacity enough for the residents that are using it and the visitors that are using it. So the approximately 1 million people a year that go through to use that free spring have overrun that bathroom. The goal is to put in a brand-new bathroom on the property as well, in addition to this one, and double our capacity. Part of this ask also includes a rehab of the current bathroom that we currently operate out of. So with this ask, we're trying to move forward as quickly as possible as the season continues to grow. Next summer, we'd love to have, these are prefab bathrooms, so it could move pretty quickly once we have some sort of consensus or something from the BOCC after that. But that's all I have to add unless there was a question.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like
Max?
to move that we have consensus to go forward on this. we all got an email, I think everybody read the package. We ought to
You're
be able
looking
to
for a
not
consensus
take
on this?
2 months when you're
Basically
doing-
consensus and a number so that I can then put this on the BOCC, the next BOCC agenda, which is probably a six-week timeline on that. Yeah, that's just the way it is. But yes, if we could get a number from this board today, we can put the item on the next BOCC agenda. Just save a little bit of time for it coming back to the board, since I think Doug presented in August, maybe, I think? Or-
I actually presented in
Okay, somebody,
June. So
okay.
Did you
Okay.
say the number had come down?
he's reworked the scope of the project, so it was upwards of 400, but you scale it down because we're going to use the existing bathroom and put another one next to it.
Double our capacity, yes, sir.
Current request is 350,000 in capital improvement funds, yep.
So
Okay.
are you asking for a consensus, so we go to the BOCC without an actual vote coming from us? Or just a ballpark so that people are primed for the next TDC and the subsequent BOCC meeting?
No, well, two ways we could do it. We could come back to the board in the fall, in December, this board. Or if you give me a number today, I can put that item on the BOCC agenda, and then BOCC would ultimately approve your recommendation.
Recommendation, but not a vote.
Right, I think that's how we'd have to probably split this, because this is a
What
little,
what are the December dates? Is TDC after BOCC in December?
I do not have that, but probably Christina can pull it up.
Yeah, I think we're 12. I think there's only one meeting in December.
December 13th is the next TDC meeting.
And
And
what,
then the BOCC is on the 12th.
I don't know, can you look? Or
Well, that'd be the second Tuesday.
Our calendar gets swirly over the
Yeah.
holidays.
Right.
It's the day before, okay. So that's the only way that could work this year.
Aren't we required to have that on our agenda though, so we can have the outdoor public come to our meeting first, and then we can make a, decision from there, instead of just using our own opinions? We need to let the public know too what we're looking at.
Yeah,
Well, the application was already submitted to us.
It
But
was
it's-
submitted to legal, we emailed it out.
Right, but it
Yeah, but-
wasn't public notice to get any public feedback on the idea.
Okay,
That's-
right. Doug
that's the
submitted it
biggest
at the
issue.
meeting in hard copy, and then it went to legal for review, so it didn't come here for
that's
public
why I
comment.
always like to have an
Yeah.
attorney in the room.
Yeah, that it would be.
The safe way to do this, can this be done if it's not approved till January before heavy season? Can the
I only
construction
brought
be
it up just to
completed?
see where the project was, so.
Okay. My preference, just to make sure that we stay clear of legal, is to put
Okay.
this for a vote in December, properly noticed, then goes to but make sure that it's already in the chain to be at the first meeting in January for BOCC.
Yeah, I'm just
Because
curious.
we can take a consensus now, and that way we'll kind of know how we're going to officially vote.
But public would have a chance to comment on the application at the BOCC meeting, so they wouldn't be cut out of the procedure. They would still have comment. It would just be,
Well, I guess I would like the feedback before I voice an opinion. So,
sure, no.
you know, I
no
I
reason.
wouldn't be,
Yeah.
I don't think I'm in a position to put a number on it or a recommendation for the BOCC sitting here at this moment.
Okay,
Yeah, it wasn't on the agenda, so I didn't prep for it.
Okay,
the discussion.
fair enough.
So,
fair enough.
those who did prep for the discussion, go. You? Yes? How much?
350.
Okay. Mike? Are you prepped for this discussion?
Not
You
too
can-
much.
You can waive.
No,
We
I'll
can waive
waive.
off. Okay,
Abstain.
I don't know enough.
okay. You already know.
You know what I,
Yeah. Jackie, are you
I-
prepped for this?
No.
Okay. And you're not prepped? I'm
Well,
not
I
prepped.
read it, but I haven't heard any other input except for what was
I was
provided by
waiting
the
for a
city.
presentation to make an
So let's
intelligent
just do
decision.
this.
Bring it
And
to
you
you
wanted
back.
to say something?
Public
Jack?
announcement and everything.
Did you say?
The only thing I'd like to add is if you had a number, I could start working on an interlocal agreement that has to go to BOCC. So, that's gonna take 6 weeks as well, once we get some kind of number there forward. So I was trying to work with my attorney to try to prep that process so that it does expedite it. Your question earlier, ma'am, could it be done for the peak of the season? Not for the winter season, no, ma'am. We would have to do a lot of plumbing and concrete pads and things like that, but in plans for the summer, like for scallop season and things of that nature.
So it's not super time sensitive. I'm not saying drag our feet.
I mean,
That's
if you've
not
seen
it
those
at all.
bathrooms, anytime it's busy in there, it is
Yeah.
time sensitive. It puts a black stain on the city of Crystal River because it doesn't look like we're providing enough support for those people that utilize that facility. So that's my only input on it.
Yeah, we really have to keep our nose clean legally, so,
I understand, man.
We don't want to rock the boat, so.
yeah.
It wasn't intended for any kind of push forward. It's just more of it's urgent for us as well.
There's no doubt that we've had multiple hiccups this year, so
Yes, ma'am.
normally we're a little more on top of
We don't
things.
want another.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Doug.
One last thing, is there
Yes.
a possibility that we could look throwing a little bit of money at expanding porta potty rentals so that because it's always bad there. I mean, to cover this winter season, it seems like a lot of times they're filthy.
That doesn't qualify for capital improvement, I don't believe, because it's
No,
not.
porta
even-
potty isn't a capital improvement.
Yeah. And you should be able to start on interlocal and just plug in a number at the end, correct? No? Yes, no?
I should say here, I'm sorry. It really depends on what number you guys get on additional funding that I have to go through. I don't have $150,000 if you say 200 in my budget to move forward with this project at that
Okay,
time. So
good.
it's just, if I have to pursue other funding sources, grants and things of that nature, that's what challenges me.
Okay. Thank you, Doug.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry to drag you.
No,
through
that's all right.
that
Should I
whole-
sit back down or? All right, thank you.
All right, so now that we've, I have 14 minutes to bring this ship in for a landing. Anything further, make it fast.
Okay, one of the most important thing about quality organizations is they have repeatable processes that are written down and they follow. I hope that in both the job description of the new chief, that one of the things that will be covered is continuity of contracts. Because there seems like there's been a presumption that contracts are gonna continue. The fact that a hurricane comes along, I don't care if locusts come along, they should be ready to transition a contract with no downtime in between. It really hurts when you go a month or two with no advertising. And a 4-month out checklist thing that says, where am I standing on that, always helps.
No, never apologize for helping the chair. Mike?
I was just curious, are we missing some staff? I mean, Terry traveling probably?
Terry is in London, and Kelly had an appointment, yeah.
Okay.
So,
And Jody moved on.
and Jody's taking
Oh,
another
okay.
job, yeah.
Oh, I was not
Yeah.
aware of that.
I wasn't either.
Me either.
That's
You
why
don't
I,
follow our Facebook page then.
No, I don't.
what?
I don't
Anybody's Facebook.
stalk staff.
Jody went with Madden or Miles?
I believe
Or
she's with
some-
Madden Media
Yeah,
now,
she went
yes,
with Madden.
that's what I heard.
Oh, okay.
So,
So I have a thing coming up in November.
anything else, Mike? Michael?
Started playing golf again yesterday.
Good.
Pro shop's not open, we have a temp trailer in.
Nice.
So there's some golf going on, got about 46 more rooms to finish up getting ready. Other than that, we're about 90%. Got the restaurant, got the tiki, got the pool, got the manatee tours, got the
Yay.
fishing charters, so we're almost a real resort again.
It's
Did you have to
impressive.
pull any manatees out of the water hazards?
We didn't actually, no, this time.
Because I've heard that that's happened
Yeah,
before.
no, this time we didn't. Well, we got rid of that one bridge thing that we were allowed to leave open after Hermine, so they can come and go freely now.
Ah.
Before they weren't allowed to come and go freely.
Luann?
Rock and rolling on the east side.
All right, you guys both spoke. You have anything?
No, I've said enough.
All right, well, we got a lot accomplished today. Open to the public. Anybody like to speak? Anyone? Going once, going twice? All right, then, we are adjourned. The next meeting, I guess I have to announce this first, December 13th at 9 a.m. right here.